Good afternoon, everyone. Hopefully you can hear me. I'll be loud. Thank you for being here. In a moment, you're going to hear from Chief of Detectives Rodney Harrison, then from Susan Birnbaum, the President and CEO of the New York City Police Foundation. Susan hiding to my right. Finally, you're going to hear from Paul DiGiacomo from the Detectives Endowment Association. We'll take your questions after that. So today we're going to announce a pilot project we just launched. Project involves, as you can see here, some of the bulletproof vests, outfitting members of the NYPD detective squads with new lightweight bullet-resistant vests. We kicked it off this morning in the 102nd Precinct in Queens, where I joined Leanne Simonson, the widow of Detective Brian Simonson, in handing out the first 16 vests to squad detectives. As you can see, the idea is that these vests are easier and quicker, and you can see some of them on the right, to put on for detectives wearing shirts and ties. They're easier than our standard issue police vests, which are primarily designed to go underneath a uniform shirt and a tie. So through real-world feedback, focus groups, and I'll tell you, in a real-world process that literally started the day after the tragic events of Brian Simonson's death, we're going to see how functional these new vests are and how much our detectives like wearing them when they're out in the field. The goal, of course, is to expand this to all Detective Bureau investigators in the future as soon as we can, assuming how this pilot goes. I'll let Chief Harrison explain more about the process and the importance of the steps we're taking today, and Susan will discuss the funding that made all of this possible. But I do want to specifically acknowledge the Detectives Endowment Association, where are you, to my right? Paul DiGiacomo representing, and the Police Foundation for all of its generous donors. We have long recognized that in order for members of the NYPD to effectively and efficiently carry out the critical work of keeping New Yorkers safe, it's vitally important that we first make sure that we're keeping our law enforcement officers safe. And before I introduce Rodney, somewhere in this room is Chief Tom Conforti, and he's hiding from me, but instrumental in literally starting this process the day after the tragic events surrounding Detective Simonson. So Tommy, great work on this pilot. And again, hopefully, as we go forward, we're going to roll it out even further and further. Rodney?
Good afternoon, everybody. I also want to thank Tom Conforti for the great work that he did regarding putting this very, very important event together. And once again, this morning, yes, we went to the 102 precinct, and we made a significant step forward within this department. At this time, we are currently only distributing vests to precinct detective squad personnel. This all began the day after the horrible day that Brian was killed. The conversation arose, why? Why are investigators wearing their raid jackets but not wearing bullet-resistant vests? We know why. The vests are bulky, and they don't fit under their suit jackets. With this knowledge, we decided to create a slim, lightweight vest that replicates the look of the NYPD raid jacket. As you can see, this is a much slimmer and lighter than the standard vest. Currently, 550 vests are being distributed among the roughly 17,000 precinct detectives citywide. Each vest is custom made for an individual fit. This process ensures that the vest fits correctly and comfortably. Enables our investigators to be properly protected at all times. I want to thank the Police Foundation, the DEA, thank you, and the PBA for the generous donations making this possible. With additional funding, every investigator in the NYPD will get their own vest. We have to ensure that our investigators are provided with the best equipment available to protect themselves and the public. Thank you.
Now you hear from Susan.
Thank you, Commissioner. Thank you, Chief Conforti, and also Chief Harrison, Commissioner Shea. It's an honor to be standing here with you today to announce this $550,000 in donations in memory of Brian Simonson to purchase hundreds of new, lightweight, bullet-resistant vests. With the support of its generous donors, the New York City Police Foundation is able to fund new and innovative police initiatives that help the NYPD protect New York City from crime and terrorism. From supporting neighborhood policing, providing Crime Stoppers rewards for anonymous tips, and helping remove dangerous criminals and illegal guns from our streets, the Police Foundation, together with its community of donors, are keeping our cops and our communities safer. Today, I want to thank Eric Rudin from our board and the Rudin family, John Katsimatidis, Mario Gabelli, the Detective Endowment Association, the Star Foundation, Florence Davis, and Hank Greenberg for their donations to the New York City Police Foundation, enabling us to purchase these lightweight, updated, bullet-resistant vests to protect New York's finest, who risk their lives every day to keep New York City the safest big city in the country. It's significant to note that the next generation of the Rudin family, founders of the Police Foundation, and original funders of the first vests nearly 50 years ago, once again invested in life-saving vests. We are proud to support the NYPD and help protect those who protect us. Thank you.
And finally, we'll hear from Paul DiGiacomo of the Detectives Endowment Association.
Thank you, and good afternoon. And Chief Conforti, you've been in touch with the union from day one on this. Personal thank you to you. The Detectives Endowment Association represents over 5,000 of the greatest detectives in the world. Detectives who put themselves in harm's way 24 hours a day, 7 days a week to keep our city safe. Detective Brian Simonson never hesitated to respond to that robbery nearly a year ago, to face a very real danger on behalf of the New Yorkers he served. Brian's legacy is one of service and the ultimate sacrifice. And now it's also about keeping his fellow detectives safe. These are the men and women he not only loved, but he also represented as a union delegate. All of us at the DEA never gave a second thought to investing in the safety of our members. We thank the New York City Police Foundation for their generosity and for joining us in making the safety of New York City detectives a priority. Thank you to the Police Commissioner and the NYPD executive staff who also helped make this possible. These vests are more comfortable, better fitting with the clothes that detectives wear, all while protecting that detective. It is the hope of everyone that is here today that these vests will never have to be demonstrated out on the street. But the reality is the job of a New York City detective is very dangerous. So now we're fixed. What we are proud to say is the most recognized shield in the world, that of the New York City detective. These newly designed vests will allow our members to continue to fight crime better than anyone else while having the protection they need. Every time a detective wears this new vest, they will continue our solemn vow to never forget Detective Brian Simonson. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And on topic, we'll take some questions on the vests. Thank you.
What are the weight differences between the new one and the old one?
I think the biggest difference when you look at these vests, they are lighter. There's some small differences, but the biggest difference is that if you notice the zipper on the front, that they can go right over. And when you think about what a detective does, we have regulations regarding uniform and going out and using performing enforcement duty. Oftentimes detectives are going out into situations where they're canvassing for video or they're just conducting interviews, and it's not always enforcement duty. This here allows them in a split second to really throw something on over a suit jacket. And the reality of the situation is, when you look at the work that's been done under precision policing with Rodney, with Terry behind me, and many others, we're putting our detectives into harm's way more and more, I would make the argument, as they really focus in on the drivers of crime and some of the most violent people. So I can't say enough for Tommy, who the day after Brian's passing, I can remember us having that conversation and knowing something must change, and how are we going to make that change. To the DEA that was on board from the beginning, to Susan and everyone else standing up here, thank you. That's thank you on behalf of me, on behalf of Terry, on behalf of Leanne, that wanted to see positive change, anything come out of such a tragic incident. And I'll tell you that she herself handed the first vest to Brian's partner. And then we threatened them, we better not see you at a crime scene without one of these beautiful vests on. And I can just tell you that one thing that will never happen is Brian will never be forgotten, whether it's through this vest program, whether it's through the donations earlier in the year when many, many uniformed members of the service donated organs to make Brian's legacy a lasting impact. So again, Tommy, home run, thank you.
Commissioner, can
Yes,
you
sir.
explain the science behind the lighter vest?
Well, we just happen to have somebody to address that.
So my name's Frank Cappo. I'm the Vice President of Sales for Armor Express, the company that manufacture the vests. So what you're dealing with is current Level 3A and Level 2 ballistic vests certified by the NIJ, National Institute for Justice. Difference in weight, obviously, depending on the size of the vest. If you have any of these gentlemen standing next to me or women up here wearing a vest, they're all going to be different sizes. They're custom fit, as the Commissioner stated. The science behind the ballistic technologies, we took this vest to the range with the DEA and Chief Conforti, and we shot every round that the Level 3A vests that they're currently being issued today onto those vests in conditions on clay, which is what the NIJ standard is. And those rounds were stopped by all these vests. So we wanted to make sure that everybody was comfortable with the product, the performance of that product, and the testing standards that we provided the agency.
Just in terms of the actual weight for each?
So you're looking at a 3A is a little bit over 1 pound per square foot. They're based on square foot measurements, and the Level 2 is under a pound per square foot. So again, it's if you held the two together, what you're going to notice most importantly is the thickness of the 3A versus the Level 2. You'll feel that, and you'll feel its flexibility, which renders it more comfortable as a result.
So the 3A is what uniform comes with?
The 3A is what the current patrol officers wear today.
Plates are the plates the same?
I don't know if they wear plates
No,
today,
there's
but
no
it's
standard plates.
you're looking at soft body armor, so soft pads.
Rocco, the biggest difference here is the accessibility. When you think of detectives, that are in a suit and tie, in and out of a precinct station house many times, going to different crime scenes, and as simple as it sounds, the simple act with the detectives to my right of changing out of a suit and tie multiple times, the reality was it wasn't occurring. This is something that we had to address, the simple fact of having it, being able to throw over, having a zipper, being able to run out the door, and really making it something that, as good a vest as we can build, the bottom line was, if it wasn't going to be worn when they stepped foot on the streets, it was ineffective. This, we think, is going to overcome that.
So how long is the pilot, how do you, other than if someone gets shot, how do you assess the success of it?
We're going to assess the wearability of it. Are they actually wearing it? And that's really the key. We have 100% confidence in the fact. The pilot isn't to do with whether it stops a round. We know it's going to stop the rounds. It's actually, is it going to be worn?
Can you talk a little bit about the significance of these safety devices and how the decisions are made to wear them or not wear them, like what kind of settings they're worn in and how those decisions are made?
Yeah, so and I'll keep it simple today, but we have policies in place in the police department that deal with whether you're in uniform, whether you're not in uniform. Most of it hinges around enforcement duties. So when you think of your typical patrol officer that's out there walking a beat or riding around in a car, or an anti-crime officer, they are mandated. Detectives in positions where they might be going to a hospital to interview somebody not in enforcement duty had an option to wear it. All right? This is all about, again, increasing the ability that they will have an easy ability to put that on and make it more readily available and used.
So, Commissioner, you were saying that we only have a certain number for the detectives. When are they going to be able to bring up a lot more for all the?
Yeah, so one step at a time, but this is a pretty significant investment where we rolled it out this morning, again, about 7 o'clock in the morning. Myself, Terry was there, Rodney was there. We turned out the day-tour platoon in the 1OT with the CO of the precinct, and then went right into a short but brief and pretty personal. It's really nice ceremony with Leanne and the members of Brian's former squad. We have as Susan said, 550 vests, so that's going to cover most of the detectives within that borough, and then from there, once we're comfortable that we're moving in the right direction, we'll explore our options to expand it citywide.
Last call on this topic? All right, we'll take a moment to reset.